Thank you. Can I also acknowledge the traditional owners of the land? Today's session is about maximising the potential of our industries. I thought I would discuss how do we build on the success of things that are internationally competitive and in which Australia does very well. One example is the resources sector of Western Australia, which produces half of the nation's exports, hundreds of thousands of jobs, a great deal of the revenue that goes into funding important social initiatives that provide a lot of that important support for particularly aged care, hospitals and the like across Australia. So how do we make sure that we build upon that and leverage it to become more successful? Firstly, I've got 4 points. Firstly, it's a very high-tech industry. So technologically advanced. These days, automation, remote operations, robotics, all those sorts of things are an important part of it. Australians drive a lot of that. If you went to Perth, you'll see huge areas where there's people sitting on computers operating equipment in the remote parts of the state. Those are Australians who are trained in these industries. So how do we leverage that sort of skill base and people who have that experience and ensure that other industries can take advantage of that and therefore become internationally competitive as well? So there are opportunities there for those people, for those courses, for that sort of experience to be put into other areas such as advanced manufacturing, agriculture, food manufacturing, areas like that. First one in which we have that advantage. I was originally, of course, frightened of those sorts of things, like many people are, but obviously on site and in our resources sector there's huge numbers of people working, but these are of course other opportunities in which people perhaps who don't want to work in those locations can work in these industries, high-paid jobs, and therefore get the skills that can then transfer into other industries. Secondly, and it's always talked about, downstream processing. How do we do more than just ship out what we do? The obvious areas of advantage these days are those things like hydrogen, advanced battery manufacturing and critical minerals. Hydrogen is obviously going to be, in 10, 15 years, perhaps even sooner, a large part of the world's energy mix, and it's very important that Australia, particularly with our advantages in climate, in land availability, in sun and wind, in highly skilled people, leverage that. So mining industry allows for people to transfer into that. It allows for major companies to invest in that, provide the sort of feedstock, if you like, for those sorts of industries. Battery manufacturing as well. We produce everything in this country, lithium, cobalt, nickel, all those sorts of things that allow for us to go down the value chain of building batteries. We should be out there hunting those companies that will invest in batteries in this country, because we can actually go a long way along that production chain to manufacture those sorts of pieces of equipment in Australia, because we have all the products here and we have the skilled workforce here. So initiatives like the Commonwealth's Manufacturing Fund, the state governments of various description manufacturing fund should be put towards those sorts of initiatives that will create those high-tech jobs for Australians. And then, of course, critical minerals, which are used in all sorts of magnets and electric vehicles and those sorts of things. There are other opportunities for us. Thirdly, and I don't want to be controversial here, maintain markets. So Japan, Korea, China, the places that buy our products. Important we maintain relationships with our customers, because it's no good producing lots of material if you don't have people to buy them. So that's why at a national or state level we need to make sure that we put a big effort into maintaining relationships with our biggest customers, so we can ensure that those hundreds of thousands of people who benefit from these industries and all of the ongoing benefits to the broader community can be maintained for the future. And finally, TAFE and employment. We actually, I think, broadly do that well in Australia, and making sure that we continue to do that well and Australians can take advantage of these job opportunities. But we do also have a skills shortage, which means that what is occurring, particularly in my state, is lots of people are being sort of enticed, if you like, into the mining industry, out of retail, out of aged care, out of hospitals, out of schools, whatever it might, out of government, whatever it might be, because the resources industry can pay more. So that's why training Australians to do those jobs, but also having visa settings that allow for those industries to still have employees in a tight labour market is very important, and I look forward to this event allowing for the flexibility and the arrangements to allow for those sorts of things to occur. So I think generally in life and in industry, doing what you do well and leveraging the advantages of that is an important part of being successful, and I think that's what we should focus on with some of these industries, particularly the resources industry of Australia.